You booked it, episode 106. Hey, entertainers and performers of the world. I'm your host, Dane Reese, and welcome to You Booked It, where I chat with inspiring entertainment professionals 7 days a week. By digging into their journey, we're going to discover everything you need to do to have a successful entertainment career. You know, because training usually skips that part about how to actually make your skills work for you in the real world. Fellow entertainers, my drive here at You Booked It is to share the inspiring and incredible journeys of successful entertainment professionals. We're here to support your journey. So go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the You Booked It email community, where we dig deep into truly actionable things you can be doing right now to book that next audition, submission, or gig. If you enjoy this free podcast, please show your support and search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, where you can subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a rating, and review. And now, let's do this. Okay, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Jaimee Gallego. Are you ready for this, Jaimee?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
All right, Jaimee was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and attended the University of Arizona, after which she joined the cast of EFX Alive in Las Vegas. Having trained in gymnastics as she grew up, she began performing on aerial apparatuses and dancing at Studio 54, Vegas. She has performed in Ivan Kane's 40 Deuce, Le Rêve, The Dream at the Wynn, and assisted in the opening of Cirque du Soleil's first nightclub, Light, at Mandalay Bay, and many others. She has performed in almost every style, venue type, and setting imaginable. Jaimee's artistic and creative skill led to the creation of her own company, where she choreographs, directs, and produces shows and custom experiences for stage productions, corporate events, industrials, and nightclubs throughout the USA. Jaimee, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. That was beautiful, Dane. Yeah, my name is JKay Gallego, and I am a choreographer slash producer slash creative director slash unicorn. No, just kidding. I basically create in all aspects. And in Vegas, it's really cool because one day you're doing one thing and the next you're doing another. So I love that lifestyle. You never know what you're going to get. And basically, I make people's visions come to life. It's really cool what we do here. So I'm constantly creating for all those things you said, and pretty much full time. That's my craft.
Beautiful. And you're so right. This is something that I love about the Vegas market because there's so much corporate work. There's so much one-off stuff, right? And there's
Yes.
always a new thing, and everyone wants something fresh and new. Even if it's a client from a previous year, they want it, or it's always new. And it keeps us all on our toes, and it's so much fun to be in that setting, I think.
Sometimes you sit back and you're like, wow, we just did that and we pulled that off and it's amazing. And literally 2 days later, they're asking for a proposal for the next year and how to top it. And you're like, whoa, no downtime there. Let's go. So it keeps your brain just on fire and zooming, which actually that's with the choreography. I think that's why I've gotten so fast at it, because you just have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get so good at it. You're like, oh, I know how this works. And you know how people move after you've worked with them for a while. And you know how to set things on people that you know is going to make it look great.
Yeah, I definitely have a process. I can't say it always goes at 100%, but I usually start there and something good comes out of it most of the time. So.
Yeah, beautiful. And let's move on to this next section here. And Jaimee, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What's your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
So just so you know, I love quotes. I have them tattooed on me. But actually, the one I'm going to choose today is something that's been in my house, my very first house when I moved here to Vegas. And it was basically leap and the net will appear. And I love this quote.
Oh, that's so good. And can you expand on that a bit on how that is applied into your life and your career directly?
Absolutely. Basically, when I said, hey, I'm going to go audition in Vegas, hey, I'm going to move it to Vegas, and people were like, no, you can't do that. And I would just go. And then I was like, I'm going to start my own company. Oh, I want to do this. And so I just always believed at least in myself. And I'm definitely not afraid to go for it. So I believe in taking action and seeing where you fall, because you don't really ever fall. You just find somewhere new to stand. And so that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. It's so great that you have embodied that quote because I've seen it through your work as well and following you throughout a bit of your career since we met about, what was it, 7, 8 years ago now?
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's been a
Yes.
while. But I think it's really important and a great takeaway for everyone listening that when you see people that seem to have these careers that just keep going or they keep doing the next cool thing, it's because they're putting themselves out there. And that's what you have to do. You can't sit around and wait for the gig to find you. You can't wait for your agent or your manager to call you. You're the one that has to be be the person that moves the thing forward and just take the leap and trust that net's going to be there.
Absolutely. Like, creating opportunity has been one of the things that I strive for. And for instance, if I didn't get booked for something, or I'd be like, I'll create my own show. And
Right.
so it's worked for me. And anyways, it keeps me on my toes. So I love that.
Amazing. And let's move on to this next section here. And Jaimee, of course, you are an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I think that you'd agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there is an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, doing what we do, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
I feel like as an entertainer, when it's Christmas, it's a busy day at work. And when it's
Mm,
New Year's and everyone wants to celebrate, we're on stage, we're under the lights, we're in the scene. So all of those holidays, choosing to give up your family time or your personal loved ones, and really for your love for the stage. So that was one thing that I chose. And I loved it so much. It never bothered me. And my parents were very cool. We did some really cool things through the years that I've lived in Vegas, to celebrate in our own way for holidays. But more importantly, one of my biggest obstacles was, I would say, my first surgery. It happens. And read your contracts, entertainers, because I did not read this contract, but there was a 99% injury rate. And it happens. We're young for so long, and I got injured and I had to have knee surgery, and that put me out, so I couldn't dance. So I that's where the choreography began. And I think my style of choreography, using my arms, because I couldn't move with one of my knees. So it was very funny, but it was such a blessing in disguise, because it made me organically start choreographing at a very young age, and it just transitioned beautifully for me. As much as that was an ugly thing I had to go through at the time, it's turned out awesome for me. So I'm very grateful.
Oh, that's so great to hear. And I also really appreciate that you said, read your contracts. It's so
Yes.
important. And the thing with contracts is that a lot of the times, if you're working for the same companies again and again and again, you're getting the same copy paste contract with new, dates and rates plopped into it. But
Yep.
what you need to do is you need to form the habit of reading your contract. So read all those boring ones, even though you know what they say. Read it simply because it puts you in the habit of reading them, because there will come a time that you get a contract that's a one-off from a company that you've never worked for before. And if you're in the habit of reading your contracts, you're going to read that one and you're going to catch something that could impact the rest of your career. Maybe there's an opportunity to put it in a rider, or maybe it's simply knowing what you're putting yourself up for.
Yes, I think we are so passionate and we get so excited for the yes. And we look at the rate, or what's the second most important thing, and then your availability, and you just go. And it's really important to read those fine lines. It's so funny, but true.
Absolutely. And let's move on to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living, or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
For sure. It's really funny because you would think that I would have my moment here in Las Vegas, but really it was at such a young age. I just loved dance. And although I was doing swim team, golf, all these things, my parents kept me very active. I knew I wanted to dance. And then I was entering student choreography from when I was little. My parents maybe couldn't afford for the solo lessons. So I'd be like, it's okay, mom, I'll just make it up on my own. And for some reason, she believed in me and supported me. And that all happened. So I'm kind of very grateful for my parents' belief in me, my mother. Oh my goodness. So that's kind of what started it. I would always have my friends over. I was definitely making my brother video us teaching routines and dancing and grabbing my parents. And I said, guys, I need an agent. I need to move to LA, not even knowing what this meant. And they said no, of course. So then I went to my grandma because that's what you do, and I called her Buddy and I was like, Buddy, I need an agent. So she took me, this is in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I was from, and she took me to an agency and basically hooked up with an agency so I could practice commercial work. And I just wanted to be a little actress. And I'm like, times have changed now with all the TV. Dance is so popular, but back then it wasn't as popular. And so it's just funny where my head was at such a young age. So I believe that was the moment. I went back when my parents moved and found an old report, and it had laminated this beautiful dancer, and I said I want to be a choreographer. I don't even remember doing that, but here I am today, so it's pretty special. I still have it. It's laminated.
Whoa, that is so cool. It's great that you don't even remember doing it. And there
I
it
don't.
is.
It must have been in school, and I'm like, there you go. Put it out there.
That's it, hey? And you said golf. You were part of the Junior PGA Tour stuff. Is that true?
This is hilarious because it's just a real quick fun story where your back personal life can sometimes fit within your entertainer world. So my brother was a fabulous golfer. My whole family really is into it. So they said, Jaimee, and they bought me a hot pink bag and I was in. I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And then I
That's
was
all I
like,
need.
okay, yeah, for sure. And we were always competitive. So I was like, okay. And I was pretty good. It ran in my family, very natural. But it was funny because I think it's a fun fact about me. When I moved to the very first show, EFX Alive at MGM Grand, all of the technicians play in this golf tournament. And so it was out at Prim Valley and they got teams together. One of the technicians who I flew with, he was like, you golf. I know your family, and put me on his team. So we go out there, and it was funny because they were like, oh, she's just a dancer. No, I was like, I had some skill there. So that was really fun to interact and surprise everybody with that.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Silly stuff.
yeah. And I want to piggyback on the spotlight moment quickly and talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
I can remember this moment. I would say it was later in my career. It was around 2010, I believe. And I got a phone call from Brian Burke. He's huge. And he said, Jaimee, he was working over at Le Rev. And in the beginning of Le Rev, they had actual from Dancing with the Stars ballroom performers. And then they slowly were transitioning into dancers due to the elements, different types of dancers. So he called me and he said, Jaimee, do you do ballroom? And I was like, sure, because we always say yes. So I was like,
Yep,
I could
yep.
partner. So I said yes, but also knowing it's the Win on Las Vegas Strip, and they don't like rainbow colored hair. They don't like tattoos. I have a full back piece. I was corporate America Jaimee for a long time, and then discovered, got creative on myself. So anyways, here I am with a full back piece, boombox 80s spray paint, and I'm going into the Win to audition. So I covered up all my tattoos, which was the first thing. And I go in for a private audition, and then the next thing you know, they call me, and they called me for the job, and they were like, are you claustrophobic? Are you afraid of birds? And I was like, this is a very weird
Yeah,
questionnaire
right?
for this job. But of course I was like, oh no. So I booked it. It was so exciting. But then what happens, your next part is you learn the performance, like they pick one production piece, you go out, which this was over the water, 30 feet deep, it's in the round, you're on a rubber stage, you're in heels, and I had to perform in the costume for all we call them the big wigs, the suits. And so they're all up there watching. I was covering my tattoos. So of course I'm into costume and makeup. I had my seamstress friend make me a nude sheet that covered my tattoos. So when they said, "Oh, we can't have you in the show," I was like, "But look, I could cover it with this."
You're
I had
right.
everything ready, and luckily, I see one of the guys up there, and he had two sleeves, and I was like, "I think I'm good." And they just made me cover it with makeup, and that was it. And so I was so proud, and I was so excited because it was such a challenge. There's a whole you had to get scuba diving certified, and I was just really into it. Like it was, I love being challenged, and the elements there were incredibly challenging. And being around synchronized swimmers, just all of that. So that was my dream job. Dragons, Lorette, the dream, and it was a very cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that is such, or I should say, was unfortunately
Yeah,
an
right. And oh,
amazing.
my
I
heart
can't
broke.
believe that news that came. What is that, a week or so now?
That was the first one, yeah, and it was just like I was posting my old pics, and it's really funny because it hasn't been that long ago, but I was like, why aren't my pics as good as they are these like now? It's
Right.
crazy how technology changes so fast. But yeah, that broke my heart a little bit. Let's hope that it can come back or turn into a better opportunity for us out here.
For sure, but that was hands down one of my favorite shows on the entire strip. It had everything in it. Such a beautiful show.
Yeah, I mean, and watching these athletes, so you're not only like working to be better at your job, there's so many other skills around you that you just
Mm,
adapt and everyone's willing to share and teach you. It's so cool to be around.
yeah, for sure. And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And hey, it's a weird time, right? We are amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
I feel very fortunate. Any chance that you get to create. Right now, I feel like everyone's just creating because we're so bored and what can you do? And I even had some video projects booked, but then, they do the shutdown number two. And so and I was like, you know what? I just want to be safe. Let's just wait. Those aren't the right things.
Hmm.
So we started doing some virtual stuff, some virtual conferences. I've actually gotten into like the green screen performing and editing video, all this stuff together. So that's been really interesting for me. I got to participate in assistant choreographing for the Piano Man. It's a little show that just happened. Everything's happening in smaller quantities, two dancers. We're starting really small, and these are like private events, and we're checking off all the boxes to make sure it's appropriate right now. But basically, these things we're creating right now, and then hopefully, as soon as we can open the doors and live outside of our bubbles, they'll all come out. But I am leaving town, and when I get back, my next project is like a Ray Charles tribute, and I'm so excited because I just love his music. And that's my literally next week I start on that project. So pretty excited about that. Again, working with a small group of dancers right now. Everyone's trying to stay safe. And then my most exciting venture is I'm really dipping into my personal brand, JKay Choreography. So what I've been doing is creating, it's hard to get all of your friends to come take class at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So I'm creating my choreography, and then you can buy it and do it whenever you want or take it to your studio. I'm also trying to reach a wider audience because I am from not only the West Coast, the East Coast. So my friends out in Maryland or on the other side, the whole world. So this way, my product is out there. And if anyone's interested, they get to just jump on and get a taste of my choreography.
That is so cool. And are you marketing that to individuals, studios, corporate clients? Is it everything? How's that working?
So right now it's basically I have a bunch of combos. I literally just launched it. So I'm going to push it probably the end of the month or the 1st of October. It's more intermediate and advanced levels of what I just created. But my goal would be to create even some levels like 1, 2, and 3, some basic levels to really touch, because I have a lot of friends out there that were dancers or haven't danced in a while and really want to just have some fun and move. And
Yeah.
then for those more serious customers, there's always the custom choreography. So this way, I'm showing people how easy it is to do this. And literally, I have some new products. I'm filming myself. You can create anything and do it. It is a little bit more challenging, but if people are really serious about their craft, then I got it all on there for you. So you'll enjoy it. I literally walk you through counts. I perform it so you know what it should look like. I talk you through. I face you, I face the mirror, do all the things. So I'm again, there's a learning curve there, but I'm figuring it out and it's exciting.
Yeah, that is so cool. And you'll have to keep me posted as that moves forward because I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Absolutely. Me too. There's so many ways I want to take it. And we'll see what clicks and what works. So that's the stage I'm in right now. It's very early, but super excited.
For sure. And it's going to be so great for so many people to be able to see your choreography. And I think especially for a lot of those corporate clients as well, because I think something that you do incredibly well with your choreography when it is specifically for a large corporate 1,000 people, 2,000 people in a ballroom kind of choreography on a stage somewhere, is that you are so good at choreographing for the space that you're in and making something read to the back of the room. Because I think sometimes a lot of people will do lots of crazy stuff and it gets lost after a handful of rows. But I think you do such a fantastic job at choreographing for an entire room in that corporate setting that it's so beneficial for, I think, any of those, the agencies or the corporate clients, or what are they, the DMCs, and that are looking to find choreographers to supply talent for a venue. I think you're a perfect match for that kind of client because your choreography is so good at being in that setting.
Thank you so much for that. That's an amazing compliment. I've been around some very successful creative directors, and I've learned from them, and that's what I just keep trying to do is grow. But with these clients, they always want like a personal touch. So I
Yeah,
think that's a part of it too, and they're looking for something each one, and it's usually always different. But if you can find it, that's your key. And definitely, we have some crazy gigantic spaces here in Las Vegas, and it's always changing, and the bigger the better. And it's crazy, but I love the challenge. This New Year's, I got to do a production on an LED floor, and that was the first time. But
whoa.
literally hooking up with the team, the production team, and all the time we put into this dancer's on a jellyfish. You are A11, you are B3. It was intense. It gave me quite the headache, but watching the final product was really enjoyable.
Oh, that is so cool. And let's move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
I would have to say, I must go to college. My parents would want me to go to college. I want to make them proud.
Right. Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Someone once told me I was so passionate in my performance that the mistakes I made didn't matter. So I just really try to commit fully in whatever I create.
Oh, there's so much to be said about that. So much. It really is about seeing you, especially when you're going into that audition setting, I think, because it's one
Oh,
thing
yeah.
to nail all the steps perfectly, but look, you're also in an audition. Things don't have to be 100% sure. There's an element of seeing if you can pick things up and stick with the choreography. But at the end of the day, when you get yourself into rehearsal, there's going to be the time to get those every single little itty bitty count figured out. It's more about
Yep.
showcasing yourself.
And selling you and who you are and bringing you to the table.
Absolutely. And the third question, what is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
Basically, I try to stay in my own lane. I try to keep up with the pulse of what's new. And it's very important for me to stay original. That's important to me. I love that.
Great. And I would say you're doing a brilliant job at it.
Thank you.
And the fourth question, what is your best resource? Whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, maybe a podcast, maybe a piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now.
I am in love with the Pivo. It sounds crazy. I call it Peter. Literally, it basically object tracks me, and these geniuses created it in a studio. So I can go into the studio and you don't have this boring tripod setup of here, I'm going to dance and try to chalet and keep within the screen, keep within the frame. So the Pivo tracks me as I run around the room. And that's what's so cool about what I'm selling online.
Oh, that's so cool. I've seen videos of those things. I don't know if I've seen specifically that one, but things like it, that is so cool.
Yeah, in this time, it's who knew, but it's awesome.
Yeah. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, What would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it the same?
I would not be so affected by the rejection that we all go through. I think I made it very personal. Every job or any decision that impacted, I just took it personal, and it's really simple. It's just really business. So I think I'd take it a whole more lighthearted.
Yeah, for sure. And the last question. What is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I would simply share that you might be a no today, but tomorrow you could be a yes. So believe in yourself no matter what anyone says, because your time in the spotlight will come and everyone eventually shines. It could be a day, a year, 4 years later, but your time will come.
Oh, that's so true. Stick to you, do you, and the good things happen.
Believe in you. Yeah.
Yeah. And to wrap up this interview, Jaimee, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
Yes, I'm so excited about I basically created a choreography page, and it's my online virtual experience. And then you can also follow me as I create in this world and up and down the crazy Las Vegas strip. It's basically JKay Choreography, and it's at JKay Choreography. That is also my new website. So go check it out and subscribe to me, jkchoreography.com. And come play with me. Check out what I do. Follow me. I promise it'll be interesting with all the backstage things I see, things you shouldn't see. So it'll keep you on your toes, and come check me out.
Brilliant. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Jaimee just said into the description of this episode so you can easily connect with her. Jaimee, thank you so much for being here today. It has been so much fun and such a pleasure to talk with you.
It is an honor to speak with you. Thank you for having me, Dane. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My one call to action for you is to go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community, where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help advance your entertainment career. Don't miss an episode. We have a new guest 7 days a week. Search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.